Keep the government out of my business and y'all can keep the change.
He is the free American, Clay Douglas.
We know what we need. We know who to blame.
Catch the Free American Hour, weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
I'll keep the USA and y'all can keep the change.
For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. Approaching 20 years here of doing this every morning with you. My guest today is John Nutter, and I've got his website linked here under his name. Hello, John. How are you?
Not too bad for a fine whatever day it is morning. What is it, Wednesday? Whoa! My, how time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, and you know, of course, this is leap year, so February 29th is kind of a nice day to have you on. Now, John, you know, I've often asked myself, why does an old biker from Texas upset these people in government, in the ADL, in the SPLC, in the CIA, in the FBI? I mean, they've all mentioned me. The FBI mentioned me and guided right-wing extremists. And, you know, outside of smoking a little pot, man, I haven't broken any laws in 40 years. Why would they be after me? Because I published a magazine, a little magazine that only went out to maybe 10,000 people?
No. You fit the description of, about 5.8 million people on the planet. People that think for themselves, people that are rather artistic. They are creators, which makes them dangerous because as creators, they're not followers. I mean, we all have a herd mentality. We all follow a certain group of people for whatever reason. But
now, that's interesting because the article that I'm working on right now that is entitled "Psychological Warfare: Gangstalking." You know, I have always been the loner. I've been to 49 states. I traveled all over the states. I saw a lot of different people in every town and every state. And so I never developed any allegiances. I didn't have a favorite football team. I traveled from state to state. Does that scare them? Does that worry them?
well, no, not that specifically. What irritates them the most is that you will not follow their program. So, since you will not follow their program, they have added you to a list, a very long list of people, as a matter of fact, that qualify to be tortured in a specific manner. What you are suffering is called no-touch, in-community torture. Now, this has been around since the...
Repeat that for me. No touch in the community?
It's called in-community, no-touch torture. It is a program that was developed way back in the 40s and 50s, and it was perfected in the 60s for public consumption. It is a CIA program.
You know, back 25 years ago, in my motorcycle magazine, I blew the whistle on CIA Operation Watchtower. That was building the radio towers down in Columbia to guide the planes into Albrook Air Force Base. That was done by George Bush. That's the first time I got threatened by the CIA. Second time after I put building number 7 on the cover of my magazine.
Well, there's quite a few of us that have been threatened by them. I've been threatened by them and the FBI myself. But the technical name for gangstalking is in community, no touch torture. It's been written extensively in the American Psychological Association or Psychiatrists Association. It's been written about in the BMJ, which is the British Medical Journal in England. It's been written about in the Lancet. And it's been written about in several books, one by Gloria Naylor and the other one by a man named Evelyn Waugh back in 1957.
Now, but I want you to describe what this is, because and just to set the stage for it, one of the things that's happened here, Mayor, right after I got to town, right after my book came out, right after I went into a biker bar and sold a club member a copy of my Mystery Babylon book, I was suddenly people hollering at me in the bar, what, well, you're selling that book to raise money for a snitch named Huevos. No, I don't know any snitch named Huevos. I'm not selling the book to raise money for anybody but me. And next thing I know, I'm being thrown out of events or runs. I pay $10 to, go on a poker run and get kicked off of it. Is that what we're talking about? Or we start talking about something more sinister, or where is this what you're talking about? What is this in community thing? Tell me.
All right. Since you will not go along with the quote-unquote New World Order program, where everybody is a slave and they all have one mindset, they don't think outside of the box, they don't want to go anywhere, they don't want to do anything, they just want to do whatever comes into their head, which is programmed, by the way. The technology to put words into your head has been perfected since 1974. So a lot of the original thoughts that people have isn't really theirs. It was placed there by a computer program.
I've made the comment, John, that they don't call it programming for nothing on television. And when you turn that television on and you're watching, commercials for pharmaceuticals, every other one, mm-hmm. You're being programmed, yes. Aren't you?
Especially if you take them.
Yeah. Especially.
Most of the drugs that are produced now by the pharmaceutical companies, they contain ingredients that cause a drug-induced stupor. Makes you susceptible to suggestion and mind control.
Now, you mentioned in another conversation with you, you mentioned what is it, azepine?
Atrazine.
Atrazine. Now, this is something that's seeping into our water supply. I did some checking on it. It's seeping into our water supply. It's being used farmers. Let's see, we're not supposed to use DDT, but we can use this stuff.
Yep. Because that stuff is laced with psychotropic drugs that make, when you eat the food, that has been sprayed with this, or when the food is processed with water that is loaded with atrazine and put in a can, you open it and eat it, you are ingesting psychotropic drugs, which make you susceptible to voiced skull.
And
the
fluoride,
nuts, but it's patented.
the fluoride does the same thing, doesn't it? Isn't that to keep you calm, don't panic, just bend over and do what the nice man from the government tells you to do?
Pretty much. It's one of the reasons Bill Cooper was killed. Really, he discovered that in all of the school shootings through Clinton years and all of the mass murders through the Reagan and George Herbert Walker Bush years, every single one of those people who committed mass murder were on Prozac. If you give someone Prozac in a high enough dosage, it will make them paranoid and very aggressive.
Now, I was fed for 3 months in the hospital. Now, maybe this is just standard treatment for 3 broken ribs. Oh, I had a bump on the head too. Yeah, well, we gotta keep him unconscious. We gotta keep him in a drug-induced coma. They fed me morphine, Valium, and a few other ones there that kept me unconscious, pretty much drugged. I don't have any memory of 3 months in the hospital. And I, ran up a $750,000 hospital bill. It effectively killed my business. Was this just an accident? Were people showing up in blue pinstripe suits just an accident? Did I hallucinate that? Was I suffering from a severe brain injury, like they told my family? Or were
No.
all of my hallucinations that somebody blue pinstripe suits took credit for? Was that a hallucination? My family thought that was just hallucination.
No, not quite. A lot of what they were doing to you was using you as a guinea pig because you were isolated from the rest of society to where they could test certain drugs. But while you were laying there, they were using various kinds of machinery on you called computer programs to put thoughts into your mind to see what your reaction is. And 99% of the population on this planet is nothing but a lab rat in a 700 billion acre lab. Really.
Oh, the other drugs they had me on were Halcyon and Haldol, and I was told by an attorney that these things make you crazy.
Okay, here's the deal. Every individual that is targeted, and it's estimated that there are 5.8 million targets on the planet. Those 5.8 million people each have their own customized torture regimen. Here's the deal. I talked to a guy in Atlanta. 86 to him meant throw it away. It's trash. Round file it. Throw it in the trash can. Get rid of it. Okay? But I talked to a guy in Dallas, Texas. His 86 meant hot female. '86 to me doesn't mean shit.
86 to me is what they tell me when they kick me out of the local biker bar, that I haven't been in for 2 months. Now, I mean, we got 2 different levels here. I mean, this is in the biker community. I don't have any support. I don't have any readers. I don't have any listeners, which is kind of insane because I published a biker magazine here for many years.
That's because that is tailored to you. I can go in a biker bar, shit, they'll buy me beers, pat me on the back, we'll swap stories, and I can stay there until it closes. Nobody says shit to me, because biker bars have nothing to do with my programming. Biker bars have something to do with your programming. And maybe someone else that's interested in Harleys, Hondas, and Suzuki motorcycles. But that's custom tailored to you. It's not the same for everybody. I mean, biker bars doesn't even come up in my programming because I don't give a shit about motorcycles or the people that ride them. It ain't part of my life.
Right.
But bars and biker bars is a part of yours. So they go after you where you are comfortable. What they're doing is isolating you.
Okay, now this last week, actually a week, 2 weeks ago, I go to one bar to listen to the band. There's a bunch of band members get together and jam. I know them all, right. So I go there to sit and have a couple of tacos. They got 3 tacos for $1. So me and the boys have our tacos. I've been going right. There for about a year. And last week I went in, and I always sit in the same spot because they make me. We don't get near the taco fictions. You know, you sit over here, you sit there, and we'll make the tacos for you. No problem. Mm-hmm. Some fat guy is sitting taking up 2 stools in that corner. Had a bag on one and sitting on the other. And I went up and asked him to, would you mind moving your bag? I need to sit here, you know. And I sat down next to him, and he almost instantly started in on me about Jesus and you know, do you know Jesus? And I reacted probably a little negatively. And he offered to take me outside. And I said, you know, tell you what, you should just move away from me. You know, go over to another store somewhere. You know, I'm not going to put up with this crap. Move now. And I got kicked out of that bar and barred an 86th from that bar the next week when I walked in there.
That's because you're targeted in those bars. Why don't you go to a different kind of bar? Maybe it won't be there.
Well, you know, it's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting too, because I've thought to myself, why am I going here? First of all, I don't drink. I don't go to a bar to get drunk. Right. Second of all, in these biker bars, now keep in mind, I've been a biker my whole life. My whole life, 50 years, I've been riding on 2 wheels, and so I've always been comfortable there. I go there, nobody bothers me. Since the accident, and since I started carrying my little dogs around with me, I've really been targeted where you can't come in here with them, you can't do this, you can't do that, you get out of here. And they also go and talk to all of my advertisers when I was publishing both magazines. Because I was publishing the Free American, they would go and talk to my advertisers and Thunder Riders and to try to limit my communication. And I wonder, man, what am I doing? What am I doing to piss everybody off? I mean, what, do they read my book and suddenly everybody hates me? You know, they don't do that. They don't react that way to Stephen King. They don't react that way to you know, whatever Howard Stern. You know.
Yeah, but you are being isolated. Let me explain something to you. Emotions can be manipulated. Microwave hearing, use of microwaves, known to be an unclassified military capability of creating voices in the head, is regularly reported by those who are gangstalked. Now, implanted thoughts and visions are common, with repetitive things that can include pedophilia, homophobia, and degradation. Now, a lot of the victims say it's like having a radio or a TV in their head. But Almost all victims say repetitive behavior control techniques are used and include negative stimulus response or feedback loops. Here's what's happening. You go into a biker book. They will turn on their microwave hearing device and they will manipulate all of the emotions in the bar against you. You are being isolated. They don't want you to have any help. They don't want you to have any friends. They don't want you to have any relationships. They don't want you to have jack shit. They want you dead. Not breathing, no brain waves. You've gone to the morgue. They put you in a coffin and they put you in the ground. That's where they want you, and that's why they're doing it. They want.
We've had more Vietnam veterans of the same era when I volunteered. They've had more Vietnam veterans die of suicide than were killed in Vietnam. Now, is that's the same thing? I mean, I say every night I go to bed, I lay there and I you know, I think about I could stop all this right now. I could just stop it all. I could give up, and I can't do it because I won't quit. I mean, if I quit, if I committed suicide, they win. I won't. I don't play that game. But that's why they consider me a danger. That's why I'm a target. Now, did this go back? Let me ask you this. Yeah. When I joined the Army, I was 17 years old. I had dropped out of school in the 9th grade. And I went and applied for officers candidate school. I took a test. I was turned down. I went back in. I was kind of upset, and I was kind of pounding on the desk and told the sergeant there, I want to know why I didn't get OCS. I have never failed a test. Ever.
Why would they want you in control?
He says you didn't fail a test. You scored so high on this test that they won't let you be an officer.
Albuquerque Police Department in New Mexico, if you have an IQ above 95, they won't hire you. The reason they won't hire someone who has an IQ over 95 is because they're capable of thinking for themselves. They don't want officers that will think for themselves. They want officers that will do what they're told to do and blindly follow orders without questioning. That's why they didn't want you.
That's exactly what the sergeant said.
Your IQ is over 95.
That's exactly what the sergeant said. You will question orders. You will question anybody with your IQ will question orders. Is what they told me. Now, did that mark me? You know. Now yeah, I did time in Texas for marijuana. In the next state over, it was a misdemeanor. In Texas, well, son, we can get you, if you'll take we can get you 7 years. I can get you a deal for 7 years, and otherwise you're facing a life sentence.
Yep.
And while I was there, I wrote some novels about the United States after all of the laws against victimless crimes have been abolished. Now, I said the war on drugs, not only was it a way to go in and steal a $1 billion crop in the 30s, you know, but it also made it possible for them to make criminals out of 40 million people in America. And destroy the farmers here. Destroy the farmers because, you know, our Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, and our Bill of Rights, and our flag were made out of hemp, weren't they?
Well, at the moment, after the NDAA of 2012 passed, everything that you do is a crime now. Everything. You walk out in your backyard, it's a crime. You walk out in your front yard, it's a crime. You spit on the sidewalk, it's a crime. If you fart in an elevator, it's a crime. There isn't anything you can do that is illegal in the United States since the NDAA of 2012 passed. Nothing.
You buy it. Ayn Rand told us in Atlas Shrugged The government has no power over honest citizens, so they have to make criminals out of us. We've got over 50 million people that have become criminals because what, they smoked a joint? This is the area I was focusing in 40 years ago. I walked out of prison with a manuscript. Now I've got it on computer. Now I'm working on it. Now I'll have it out this next year about the United States in the future this is a science fiction novel, man. It started out 40 years ago as a science fiction novel, but it's about hemp being legal, drugs being, nobody getting arrested for drugs, no prison farms, no labor camps, nothing like that unless you're a thief, you know?
Well, see, the thing is,
did they target me there?
A long time ago.
Did they target me there?
No, that started in the 1700s. That started more than 300 years ago.
The war on hemp? The control of hemp, or what?
No. The war on people began 300 years ago. You see, when the people first came here to America from England, Spain, all those other countries, there was no constitution here. People were free to do as they pleased with perfect freedom, unhindered by anyone. And in order to bring everybody under control from an agenda that started 2,600 years before that, they had to institute a constitution in America. Now, before the Constitution, people were obeying God's law. Since the Constitution, they've been obeying man's law. The thing is, if people don't go back to obeying God's law and tell men to go screw themselves, you will always be far worse off than had you had no constitution and no law whatsoever. They're trying to limit what you can put into your body. All of a sudden, now that Monsanto has become the GMO king of the world, they're patenting your DNA. If you get arrested for anything under the sun, they can take your DNA. Most people don't know that the primary control and custody of infants is with the government, not the parents. Most people don't know that marriage is a civil contract where there are three parties: the husband, the wife, and the state. Most people don't know that the ultimate ownership of all property in the state, individual so-called ownership, is only by virtue of the government. That means law amounting to mere user. Anyone look on their title deed and it says they are a tenant. That is because the state they live in owns the land. They pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for the privilege of renting that property from the state. It's called property taxes.
Right. Now, what's this? You said this happened. You said this started 2,600 years ago. I've told people, I made a film over a speech that I gave years ago at a conspiracy con. So there's no such thing as a New World Order. That the money changers Jesus ran out of the temple are still with us. They just changed the name of the temple. They call it the Federal Reserve or the Bank of England or the International Monetary Fund or the World Bank now. But you said it started 2,600 years ago. What happened? What happened? And I'm some of this stuff I'm writing right now, John, talks about civilizations that were over 10,000 years ago that are more advanced than anything we got now. Is that possible? Is that in the realm of possibility, or is that just my vivid imagination?
It all depends on where you're coming from and what you know.